Hey, welcome back. You know, when we're at ball games or we're watching television and someone, you know, stands up and does the national anthem, we all have this sense of pride and dedication to our country. We stand up, we salute, we put our hand over our heart, and it is a sense of pride to live in America. I love being American. I love my country. I love the men and women that fight. I love our military. But how often, even though we feel that sense of pride, how often do we actually take action and help our men and women in uniform? Well, the guest that we have today, he is Dr. Craig Chandler, and he wrote a book called A Separation Survival Guide for Married Couples that serve in the military. So I think this is a great subject. It's one that maybe we don't think about enough. We want to help. How do we help? Well, Dr. Chandler is here to let us know how we can help. Welcome. Congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much.
I'm very fascinated, so I kind of want to dive right in.
Sure.
One of the things, and I do have several friends that are in the military, one of the things, I'm a woman, but I'm a tough one.
Yes.
I like to put my big girl bloomers on.
Wow.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? So I hear a lot of men friends that I have that served in the military. The one thing that got on their nerves the worst is when they would call, Skype, or whatever their wife that was home back in the States, and they were complaining about how the kids was driving them crazy. And they were getting shot at. And you're complaining about the kids driving them crazy. Well, that's, you know, one of the things that I hear from my men friends that do get on their nerves. So talk to us. Does it cover, your book cover that part? Because I want our women that are home, the women or the men that are at home, to put your big girl bloomers on, your big boy bloomers on, and encourage that spouse that is, you know, not in the States, that's out in war or out, you know, they may be serving peacetime or whatever, and they may, you know what I'm saying. Sure. Tell me. What is, touch on it. Tell them.
We'll touch on it just a little bit. It's certainly a difficult task for the one on the battlefield, and certainly the one at home with the children, and both are fighting. There's a war going on the battlefield as well as at home, and so it's important for the spouses to support each other in that regard. And we can't help the families enough at home to manage those family situations. It's just hard for the spouse when they're dealing with all the children around. I experienced it myself, being dislocated from my family for a year, and you know, I heard some of those things in terms of the kids misbehaving, and sometimes they take advantage of the spouse at home. And so it's a difficult thing to deal with, but certainly it's important for the spouse to understand the person on the battlefield who's facing who knows what, whether they're facing in harm's way as well, or else just working on a normal, just being dislocated from their families, because many of the guys and girls on the battlefield, they're wondering about their home and how things are going, and when they hear these kind of things, their hands are tied, and that's a difficult situation.
When you're over there a year, then you come home totally. How do you separate yourself and get back into the mainstream, become father, husband, you know, daddy, all these things? How do you do that?
It's a slow process. We have something called reintegration, and we have the briefings on how to deal with it. Sometimes the spouse at home wants to say, here it is, buddy. You know, it's all yours. I've been doing this for the last year or however long. I'll take it, it's yours. And that's a difficult thing to do. We always encourage a slow process, and I deal with the aspect called control, because sometimes the one at home has all these things in control, whether it be the finances or what have you. Sometimes it's hard to relinquish that control. And so there's a battle going on when you return. And so there's a slow process. There's a process for individuals to take it slow, understand both aspects, and then work with each other. And of course, there's counseling available to help in that regard. But it's a dilemma that many of our service men and women are facing, and it's something to deal with on the home front. And
does it cause divorce?
Definitely, and that's part of why I wrote the book, because military, and this has been going on for 10 years or more now, but over the last year, it's been stated that the military families have the highest stress in all career fields. And so stress, and I have it identified in my book, stress is number one from the separation. Stress is horrendous in many regards. And so it leads into a lot of other things. What we've talked about before is isolation from extended family members, and the whole family is frustrated.
Yes.
And so infidelity comes into play.
I was about to say.
Loneliness sets in.
That's right, because you're lonely, and then whether you're on the battlefield or at home, loneliness and sometimes the tendency to stray is out there.
Say that again, because it is just as easy to stray here in the States as it is for the servicemen overseas.
What guilt.
And more easy at home, because sometimes the one on the battlefield is dealing with the war, but then there are opportunities as well.
Exactly.
And we have some strange situations, because sometimes people take advantage of the situation.
What can we glean from your book as far how to combat that, or how? Because a lot of times, if you know something is coming on, you can to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
Yes.
So how do you forearm yourself to that when you're in the military?
Yeah, how do you get home and know what to do?
That's one of my primary reasons. In my research, I understood that, and this is one area that really hasn't been focused primarily on. And so the book identifies pitfalls, traps, and ways to avoid, to protect your relationship while you're away, both at home and abroad. And it gives you detailed information on how to avoid local things happening, whether it be nightclubs, whether it be the internet, or any situations that would cause, and I used to brief, don't do anything to jeopardize your relationship while you're away. And I said, I'm your mama, and I was a chaplain. I said, I'm telling you to behave yourself. Don't do anything to jeopardize your relationship at home. But the book identifies those areas that identifies pitfalls and traps for couples to avoid and to protect themselves.
Okay, getting back to the father coming home, because that's what I relate to. My husband used to travel, be gone 2 months at a time. Well, when he'd come home and he would tell the kids to do something, they said, I don't have to do what you say. I have to do what my mama tells me to do.
That's right.
You know? And that was such a blow the first time. I mean, he just bowed up, you know, like, what? So I'm trying to think, how do you because you're gone a year. It's like my friend Jennifer, her husband, be gone 6 months this time in Afghanistan. When you come, how do you reassert yourself? How do you become daddy
There's
to that child?
There has to be some type of adjustment just to come back.
Say, okay, you can have the authority now.
You're adjusting to leave. You're adjusting while you're gone. And then when you come back home, there's another adjustment.
Adjusting to control of the kids or to shared control or shared parenting.
Because she's had to do it all.
That's right.
Now, listen, Kelly, it's tough when the husband's gone and you've got all the responsibilities. You might not be in harm's way, but you're doing everything.
Exactly. And your mindset has to be, I'm a single parent.
You get into that mode. And then this husband comes back and says, well, we're going to do it this way. We're going to, and you're looking at him like, I've been doing it all.
That's right. And one of the mindsets,
be hard.
And this has gone on for years, and even in prior wars, one of the mindset becomes, I have no husband for that period of time. And so, like you said, it's a process of adjustment. One is to not so much the forced entry kind of situation. I'm back home, dad is home now, I got it all under control, because it disturbs the whole aspect. And one is to have a slower process. Mother's Day out, you know, if it's in a mother situation, you're back home to help. But again, to relinquish that control of parenting, I had to deal with that firsthand. Coming back for a year, it's almost like, okay, things are kind of, I mean, it's controlled and taken care of, but things have changed. And so understanding coming back into the situation,
you have
the
to
slow process, reacquaint, and the kids see that as well. And with the husband and the wife as well. So it's a process, but understanding that there's a whole marriage situation or a couple situation where you compromise and coordinate, negotiate with each other. But you do give that sense of, okay, I'm back to give you a break now, but but also not to just take over that
How long does it typically take for an adjustment like that?
It'll depend on individual couples. It just depends
like 6 months.
It may be 6 months, it may be a year, it may be less than that. It depends on the understanding. It also depends on the communication while you're away. And of course, the family dynamics, it also depends on your religious affiliation, how you see family, how you see parenting.
The Christians do better at this.
Those that understand parenting and negotiation, and not so much the old school mentality of the one domineering and the other submitting. You know, but it's a joint process.
Okay, question.
Yes. Okay.
Before Sherry can get in there. Okay. Do they have, and I didn't even, you know, think about this being a need, but do they have, for the military servicemen that we have serving right now, either peacetime or wartime, people like you, I didn't know it was a function of a chaplain to maybe counsel them on coming back home if they're about ready to leave and come back home. Is there people that will counsel our servicemen on coming back home?
Definitely, and we have several groups. One is family support. They have different names, but it's primarily family support. They have groups there to counsel with couples. Family, what they call family counselors. They have there, and then they have another group called family advocacy, which deals with parenting. And they're available to help families as well.
Will they help the other spouse here in the States as well?
Oh, more definitely. Most definitely, because they're there at the bases where they can avail themselves while the other spouse is away. And so they can go to these people and the counselors and help, and sometimes they have team events where they can go in and get parenting help, and also marriage and family counseling.
One more.
Okay.
So what can I do? One more. What can I do as a civilian if I know somebody that goes to my church and her husband or his wife is away, you know, for the year amount of time? What can I do as a civilian to help her or him out?
Yeah, the biggest thing is support. Of course, communicating with them, and if they have children, you can bring about a team to help with the children as they gain their trust. You know, give Mother's Day out, or Mother's Day weekend out, those kind of things. Church activities, get them involved. The biggest thing, get them involved. If there's need for support in regards to maintaining the home, there's always support. Military also support that as well.
We're talking about family, but what about those families whose loved ones has been lost in battle? Do you counsel those families, or they have an actual office set up for, you know, grief counseling?
Of course, chaplains that's part of what chaplains do because of the religious nature of that. We do offer counseling, confidential counseling for those family members. And you have a whole community support. Sometimes you have memorials and things like that with the military members and their families supporting them, but we're available to help. And sometimes it gets to a point where they need mental health counseling as well. And we have mental health available on the installations as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Teacher. What about the spouse at home? Especially, you know, there's more women evidently at home. Her stress level. Who helps? Can the military help her? Is there anything for her to help her get through all of these times? Just like my friend Jennifer, her husband has to leave every so often. 3 little kids, stress beyond measure, loneliness beyond measure. Did y'all help the wife?
Definitely. The wife is available. We're available. Chaplains, as well as, again, the family support is available for the wife, and they have specific counselors that they can come to and receive counseling and deal with those issues of, again, loneliness, depression. Again, sometimes they may have to go. We have a lot of agencies out there. One source is one that they can call confidentially and receive help as well. A number of sources that they can avail themselves of.
Because I see on her, when she comes to church, and she has a 4-year-old, no, a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old, I think it is.
Sure.
And like I said, he's been gone 5 months this time in Afghanistan, and you just see it. Yes. I mean, she walks in, you can see it.
Yes.
You can feel it, and she'll just cry. She'll go up for prayer and just weep for him and her kids and herself, you know, and it breaks your heart.
Sure.
Because you know in yourself you cannot do anything.
That's right.
That it is God that's going to have to get her through this.
That's
but in this book, you have information that would help young women like this get through things like that.
Definitely.
Because it's tough.
It's tough. And they need all of our prayers and our support. And many times you know, people talk about it, but then I always encourage reach out to them and be there for them, and help them through their journey. It's a difficult journey, and most civilians don't have to deal with that, not on a recurring basis.
I know. Sometimes you feel guilty as an American citizen that you're here able to go and do and have this freedom, and you're not in harm's way, and yet they are.
They're the most stressed, and they're protecting us.
You know, not like they went. They come back, you know, sometimes not, you know, things are different, and you have to deal with that aspect of what if they could be hurt over there.
That's right. The fear of death is a big issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got about a minute left.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a few minutes because I know you're a man of God, number one, and you're a humble man. I can see that, and that's a wonderful thing.
Awesome.
But one thing I do want to make sure that I thank you for is your 29 years of service in the military, the Air Force.
Thank you.
Yes, you retired from the Air Force. Which is an amazing, and I appreciate you fighting for my freedom, for my country that I love and I would die for in a heartbeat. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for having a heart for our soldiers.
Yes.
Not only did you dedicate your life, but you dedicated your life also continuously to our soldiers. And I want to say thank you for that. Thank you so much. So tell me, how can people get your book or get in contact with you for counseling? Obviously, you're great at this.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you can receive my book from my publisher, Westboro Press, but more readily, my website, Craig Chandler, that's C-R-E-G-G, it's spelled like egg, a little different, CraigChandler.com.
Thank you so much for being here. God bless you.
Thank you.
I pray for your family, and I pray that you write many more books because we need you. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much
for being here on Friends and Neighbors. We love you. We appreciate you.
Amen.
And if you do anything or don't do anything else today, pray for